Justin stopped private jet mid-flight for dying grandmother. What happened next broke the internet. The pilot's voice came through the intercom, and what he was about to hear would change everything. March 15, 2024, somewhere over Nevada, Justin Bieber was on his private jet heading to Las Vegas for a sold-out concert. 50,000 tickets, all gone in 47 seconds. The show was supposed to start in 3 hours, but that's not the story. The real story had started 8 hours earlier, in a tiny apartment in Salt Lake City, Utah. Let me tell you, Margaret Walsh was 82 years old. She was dying, stage 4 lung cancer. The doctors had given her 2 weeks, maybe less. Her granddaughter Rachel had been taking care of her for 6 months, no job, no income, just sitting next to her grandmother's bed, watching her fade away. That morning, Margaret opened her eyes. She looked at Rachel with those tired, beautiful eyes, and she whispered something. Something about a concert, something about Justin Bieber. Rachel knew the story. Her grandmother had told it 100 times. 1994. Margaret was a single mother, working 3 jobs. Her daughter Sarah was 12 years old and obsessed with music. She wanted to be a singer, dreamed about it every night. One day, Sarah came home crying. The school talent show was coming up. She wanted to perform, but she needed a microphone, a real one. $89. Margaret didn't have $80. She barely had $8. But you know what she did? She sold her wedding ring, the only thing she had left from her dead husband. Took it to a pawn shop, got $95. Sarah got her microphone. She performed at that talent show. She sang her heart out. And you know what happened? A music teacher was in the audience. He was so impressed that he gave Sarah free vocal lessons for 2 years. Those lessons changed her life. Sarah became a professional backup singer. She toured with major artists. She made a real living from music. All because Margaret sold her wedding ring for an $89 microphone. Fast forward to 2024. Margaret was on her deathbed, and she had one wish, one final wish. She wanted to see Justin Bieber in concert, not because she loved his music, not because she was a fan, but because of something else, something deeper. You see, Sarah had died in a car accident in 2019. She was on her way to a recording studio, gone in a second, and Margaret blamed herself. She thought if she hadn't pushed Sarah into music, if she hadn't sold that ring, maybe Sarah would have chosen a different path. Maybe she'd still be alive. But there was this one thing, this one memory that haunted Margaret. 2 months before Sarah died, she had worked as a backup singer for Justin Bieber's Purpose Tour. She came home glowing, absolutely glowing. She told Margaret about Justin, how he was kind to everyone, how he treated the backup singers like family, how he reminded her why she loved music in the first place. Sarah had even gotten a photo with him. It was Margaret's most precious possession now, the last photo of her daughter truly happy. So Margaret wanted to see Justin, not to meet him, not to get an autograph, just to see the person who made her daughter smile one last time. Rachel understood. She tried everything. She called the venue. No tickets left. She called scalpers. $3,000 per ticket. She didn't have $300. She tried to reach Justin's management. No response. She posted on social media. Nothing. That morning, Margaret was getting worse. Her breathing was shallow. The hospice nurse said it could be any day now. Rachel sat next to her grandmother and cried. She couldn't give her this one last wish. But here's where the story takes a turn. Rachel's neighbor was a man named David Chen, retired pilot, 67 years old. He had flown private jets for celebrities for 30 years. David heard Rachel crying through the thin apartment walls. He knocked on her door. Rachel told him everything. The whole story, Margaret, Sarah, the wedding ring, the Justin Bieber concert, the final wish. David listened, and then he said something strange. He said he knew someone who might be able to help. David made a phone call. Then another. Then another. 3 hours later, Rachel's phone rang. Unknown number. The voice on the other end identified himself as Justin's tour manager. He had received a call from David Chen, an old friend, and he wanted to hear the story directly from Rachel. Rachel told him everything. She was shaking, crying, begging. The tour manager went quiet for a moment. Then he said something that made Rachel's heart stop. He said Justin wanted to meet Margaret, not at the concert, at her home, before the show. Rachel couldn't believe it. She thought it was a prank. But 2 hours later, a black SUV pulled up outside the apartment building. And Justin Bieber stepped out. No cameras, no security team, no publicist. Just him and his tour manager. He walked up 3 flights of stairs, knocked on apartment 3B. Rachel opened the door. She almost fainted. Justin smiled. That famous smile. And he asked if he could see Margaret. They walked into the tiny bedroom. Margaret was half asleep. Rachel gently woke her up. Margaret opened her eyes, and she saw Justin Bieber standing next to her bed. She thought she was dreaming, or maybe already dead. Justin sat down on the chair next to her bed. He took her fragile hand in his, and he told her something that nobody knew. He told her about his own mother, Patty Mallette, how she was a single mom, how she struggled, how she sacrificed everything for his music career. He told Margaret about the time his mom sold her car to buy him a guitar, how that guitar changed his life. He told her that mothers like Margaret, mothers who sacrifice everything, are the reason people like him and Sarah get to chase their dreams. He told her that Sarah's death wasn't her fault, that the gift Margaret gave Sarah wasn't just a microphone. It was belief, it was love, it was permission to dream. Margaret started crying, not sad tears, different tears. Justin stayed for 47 minutes. He sang to her, quietly, no microphone, no auto-tune, just his voice. He sang purpose. He sang love yourself. He sang anyone. Margaret held that photo of Sarah, the one with Justin, and she smiled. Her fingers traced Sarah's face in the picture, that beautiful face she'd never see again except in memories and dreams. But in this moment, with Justin singing beside her, Sarah felt close, really close, like she was right there in the room. Before he left, Justin did something else. Something unexpected. He took off his watch, a Rolex, worth about $45,000. He placed it on Margaret's nightstand. He told Rachel to sell it, use the money for medical bills, for the funeral, for whatever they needed. Rachel tried to refuse, but Justin insisted. He said it was the least he could do for the mother of someone who helped make his tour special. Then Justin looked at his tour manager, and he said something crazy. He said they needed to delay the concert. The tour manager's eyes went wide. 50,000 people were already at the venue. The show was supposed to start in 90 minutes, but Justin didn't care. He said he needed more time with Margaret. So here's what happened next. Justin's team called the pilot of his private jet. The jet was already in the air, bringing equipment to Vegas. They told the pilot to turn around, come back to Salt Lake City. The pilot thought there was an emergency, but no, Justin just wanted more time. Justin stayed with Margaret for another 2 hours. He showed her videos of Sarah singing, videos from the tour, behind-the-scenes footage that was never released. Margaret watched her daughter alive again, singing, smiling, living her dream. It was the greatest gift anyone had ever given her. Finally, it was time to go. Justin had to get to Vegas. The concert was already delayed by 90 minutes. Fans were getting restless. Justin hugged Margaret. He promised her that Sarah's memory would live on, that he would never forget her. Margaret whispered something to him, something that made Justin cry. She thanked him, not for the visit, not for the watch, but for reminding her that selling that wedding ring was the right choice, that Sarah's life had meaning, that the sacrifice was worth it. Justin left, got in the SUV, drove straight to the small airport where his jet was waiting. The plane took off, headed to Vegas. But then something happened, something nobody expected. 30 minutes into the flight, Justin got a call. It was Rachel. Margaret had passed away, peacefully, smiling, holding that photo of Sarah and Justin. Rachel was crying, but she was also grateful. She said her grandmother's last hours were the happiest she'd seen her in 5 years. Justin sat in his private jet, 35,000 feet in the air, and he broke down. His tour manager asked if he wanted to cancel the concert. Justin said no. He said Margaret would want him to perform, to give those 50,000 people the same joy he gave her. The jet landed in Vegas. 3 hours late, Justin went straight to the arena. No time to rehearse, no time to rest. He walked on stage. The crowd went absolutely insane. But Justin didn't start with his usual opening. He didn't do the pyrotechnics. He didn't do the choreography. He stood at the microphone, and he told the story. He told 50,000 people about Margaret Walsh, about Sarah, about the wedding ring and the $89 microphone. He told them about the visit, about the watch, about her final hours. He told them that the concert was delayed because he chose to spend time with a dying grandmother he'd never met before. The arena went silent. Completely silent. And then something magical happened. Justin asked everyone to take out their phones, turn on the flashlights. 50,000 phone lights turned on. Justin dedicated the entire concert to Margaret and Sarah. Every song, every note, every moment. People in the arena were crying. Strangers were hugging each other. A fan recorded the whole speech, posted it on TikTok. 5 million views in 6 hours, 20 million in 24 hours. 100 million in 1 week. The comments section exploded. People sharing their own stories about sacrifice, about mothers, about final wishes. But here's the really incredible part. People started investigating, and they found something. This wasn't the first time Justin had done something like this. A man came forward, said Justin had visited his dying father in 2021. No cameras, no publicity, just showed up at a hospice in Ohio. A woman came forward, said Justin had delayed a flight in 2019 to visit her sister who was a huge fan and had weeks to live. A nurse came forward, said Justin had a private list, a list of dying fans, and he tried to visit as many as he could, secretly, quietly. The nurse said Justin had one rule: no cameras, no press, no social media posts, just human connection. Over the next week, 23 different families came forward, all with similar stories. Justin had been doing this for years. Nobody knew. The internet lost its mind. Justin for Humanity started trending worldwide. Even people who hated his music started respecting him. News outlets tried to interview Justin about it. He refused. He released one statement, just one. He said that fame gave him a platform, but humanity gave him a purpose. He said visiting dying fans wasn't charity, it was an honor. They reminded him why he made music in the first place. He said Margaret and Sarah weren't special cases. They were just two of thousands of people who sacrificed everything for the people they loved. And if he could give them one moment of joy, one moment of peace, that was the least he could do. The statement ended with this: "Don't praise me, praise the Margarets of the world, the single mothers, the caregivers, the people who sell their wedding rings so their kids can dream. They're the real heroes." The video got 500 million views across all platforms. 2 months later, Rachel received a package. Inside was a letter from Justin's team and a check. The check was for $100,000. The letter said it was from the sale of the Rolex, but there was more. Justin had also set up a scholarship fund, the Sarah Walsh Music Scholarship, for young singers from low-income families. $500,000 in the fund, renewable every year. Rachel cried for an hour straight. Today, the Sarah Walsh Music Scholarship has helped 47 young musicians, kids who couldn't afford instruments, kids who couldn't afford lessons, kids whose parents sold wedding rings and cars and everything they had. And in Salt Lake City, in apartment 3B, there's a small plaque on the door. It reads, "Margaret Walsh lived here. She sold her wedding ring for an $89 microphone." That microphone changed the world. Justin himself paid for that plaque. Because here's the truth. The real truth. Justin didn't stop his private jet for publicity. He didn't visit Margaret for views. He didn't tell the story for praise. He did it because someone once told him that fame without humanity is just noise. And Margaret Walsh, an 82-year-old grandmother who never asked for anything, reminded him what really matters. Not the concerts, not the millions, not the private jets, but the moments, the connections, the human touch. Margaret passed away holding a photo of her daughter, smiling, at peace. And Justin carried that moment with him forever, because that's what real fame should do. It should open doors. It should create moments. It should honor the Margarets and Sarahs of the world, quietly, humbly, with nothing but love. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember what truly matters. The world needs more people like Margaret, and more celebrities like Justin who understand that fame is a responsibility, not a trophy. Subscribe for more stories that restore your faith in humanity. Because in a world full of noise, sometimes the quietest acts of kindness speak the loudest.